Are you looking for an effective way to actually practice triads beyond just memorizing shapes? Well, my All About Triads masterclass teaches you everything you need to know about triads, and this particular video is a sample from the practice ideas section of that class. If you like what you hear, you'll find more like this on my site, getfretwise.com. Otherwise, at least leave me a like, comment, and share. Let's begin on the bottom string set, and I'll ascend C major triads from the lowest available position until we reach the octave. Now, in order to do this effectively on your own, on every string set of course, I want you to pay attention to the intervallic distances between each of the bass notes. So the first triad shape was a second inversion, which is of course built from the 5th degree. The distance between the 5th and the root is 2.5 steps. So this provides us with the bass note of the next voicing in the sequence, which is of course in its root position. From here, you'll hopefully be able to locate the 3rd degree, which is beneath, and lastly, the 5th degree. We already identified each triad shape in the triad construction lesson, but if you're in doubt, consult the CAGED system to help you visualize the triads, or at the very least, maybe you can ascend the major scale to help you locate the remaining intervals. For the next triad shape, we'll once again travel from the bass note of this shape, which is the root, to the major 3rd, which is 2 whole steps above. And now that we've located the 3rd, we should be able to quickly locate the 5th and the root. And finally, as we approach the octave, the distance between the 3rd here and the 5th is just 1.5 steps. We can also measure the distance between each individual note from the previous triad shape. So remember that 5 to 1 is 2.5 steps, and 1 to 3 is 2 whole steps. Calculating intervallic distances is an incredibly useful and beneficial skill, but it's one that can sometimes require a lot of brain power. To some extent, this can of course slow you down, which is why I think it's beneficial to use both a combination of shapes and intervals to help us navigate the neck. And that brings us to step 2. This time I'm going to locate C major triads on the next string set, which involves the D, G, and B strings. The lowest available position here is this one. Now, to navigate through the positions a lot quicker, we can pivot between the root notes of the larger caged positions or shapes. So this first triad belongs to the C position of caged. Using my eyes, I can navigate up through the position until I see the root note, which is the pivot note that connects the C position to the A position. Then I can follow the A position, and once I'm confident that I've arrived at the right notes, I can make the move. You can see that to achieve this movement, I completely relied on shapes rather than intervallic distances. I'd still like you to be mindful of the intervallic distances where possible, but you can see that shapes can really help speed up the process. Now, the second inversion triad shape here not only belongs to the A position of caged, but it also belongs to the G position. So again, using my eyes, I'll visualize up through the position until I meet the root note, of which I'll pivot from to help visualize and climb the E position. Now, just when you think you're getting the hang of it, the last triad is a little bit of a trick. If we follow the same steps by navigating from the root note and pivoting to the next caged position, which is the D position, you might play these 3 notes. But this is not a triad because it contains only the root and the 5th. So we need to navigate through the D position to the C position, which contains the triad that we're looking for. Now that you understand how to navigate through the inversions horizontally, it's time to put these skills to the test in a full fretboard workout. Let's move on to step 3. For this step, we're going to travel in a kind of zigzag motion across the fretboard. We'll start off by ascending through the bottom string set and then descending through the next string set, and then so forth until we run out of strings. Let's jump straight into the exercise. Again, throughout this entire exercise, I'm always visualizing intervals and shapes in advance before I play them. Don't depend on muscle memory at the last second. Now, to make this a little bit more musical and fun, you might choose to play through this with a metronome or a backing track. Just make sure that the backing track is a 1-chord backing track for now until you're confident enough to zigzag through chord changes. Once you get in the hang of all this, I encourage you to explore your own ways around the neck in a similar manner. There's all sorts of things you can try, such as zigzagging in the opposite direction, or even zigzagging through narrower portions of the neck. This is especially useful if you're new to the CAGED system. It's really up to you to get creative, as long as you're following the general principles of this lesson as a guideline. For exercises like this, I often find that short but frequent practice is most beneficial. You could focus on one key per day, perhaps just focus on major keys for 1 week and then minor keys the next. Whatever you do, find something that you can keep up consistently and that keeps you motivated. Come back tomorrow and move on to the next lesson with me, where we'll go through this process again in the key of F. I'll see you then. Thanks for sticking around. Again, this is a sample from the early portion of my All About Triads masterclass. There's so much more to explore and talk about, whether you're a beginner or experienced. So join me on getfretwise.com and let's get practicing together. I hope to see you there.